That's what I like a lot about Amsterdam, is like bringing different like cultures and different things together, and really mixing it and blending it and turning it into something original.
Welcome to Amsterdam. Ich weiß ehrlicherweise nicht genau, wie häufig ich das schon gesagt habe. Es entspricht natürlich der Wahrheit. Wir sind zurück in Amsterdam. Und als erstes besuchen wir heute den Benji Skate Store. Aber darüber liegend very special. Ein ganz, ganz besonderer Laden, für den ich ganz viel Liebe habe. Wir treffen uns mit Co-Founder Sebas zum Interview und danach gibt es noch was zu essen bei LOMBARDO'S, einem meiner liebsten Burger Places überhaupt. Unser Zug fährt ein, hätte ich schon fast gesagt. Nein, wir gehen rein in den Laden, wir schauen uns das Ganze an. Wir nehmen euch wie immer mit, ihr kennt das Spiel. Wir waren ja zuletzt schon in Frankfurt, in Köln und ganz viel in Amsterdam. Und das ist ein Teil unserer kleinen Reiseserie. Nur für euch, heute mit Very Special und LOMBARDO'S. Let's go! Sebas, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks for taking the time to show us a little bit around of the very special store. First of all, you see in front that the Benji store is on the what's the name on the
ground floor.
On the ground floor,
Yeah.
And then very special is on top.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit. When did you guys open the store? Why is it like that? And why is the combination of Benji and very special so very special?
Well, we started in September 2020, so almost 4 years ago.
Wow.
We opened the Very Special store, and we had Very Special was always sort of like an ironic underline of Benji Very Special. And I was talking to Benny and coming up with this new store concept, and because we felt the name was very funny and strong, we decided to call it Very Special.
What's the idea behind the store? So what is the selection of brands you're looking at?
Well, I think if you look at like how Benji started out, so Benji started out as a skate store that had more, like looked more at different brands than just the sort of like classic skate brand. So Benji back then was trying to do things out of the box. They were one of the first skate stores in Europe that started selling streetwear brands next to hard goods and skateboarding. They were one of the first skate stores in Europe that really did a lot of Nike SB when Nike SB was not so popular yet. And I think it's kind of that same, what we feel very special is kind of that same attitude, but a little bit more of a grown-up version of that. So we still want to take brands from around the world that are different and that you don't find anywhere else, and mixed with brands from our friends and stuff and people that are doing really cool things. But I think it always has to have kind of a little bit of a cool story behind it. Like a lot of it is artist-based brands or music-based brands. There's always a little bit of depth, and I think, same as with skateboarding. I feel there's always a little bit of depth in the skate brands that Benji sells. It's not just like a logo on a skateboard, but it's always things that have a little more interesting history around it. And I think we try to do the same concept for Very Special, but then on a little bit more of a mature level.
Do you can think of any other store concept in the world where two stores are combined, or at this point we're already talking about 3 stores because the Pete Parra one is upstairs on the 3rd floor.
Yeah,
I think that's really like a nice thing to have,
Yeah.
3 different parties but working together,
Yeah.
delivering goods to the people out there, not in the same kind of space, but in a close kind of space.
Yeah. I like to think of it as kind of like a miniature department store. Always.
That's good a phrase. That's a good phrase.
And of course, before years ago, Pata was in this space. So you had the Benji Pata together. They were focused on sneakers, Benji on skate, but kind of the same world, good friends, and also doing a lot of projects together. That's kind of like how we see it now. I think you don't see that concept here really, but you do have it in Japan a little bit more, where you go into a store, there's a small little store, and then you go upstairs and there's another store. It's just weird, and that's what I kind of like about it. It has that sort of like Japanese feeling where you go up a floor and you're constantly kind of surprised by, oh wait, there's another store. Oh, there's another concept.
Yeah, what's going on there?
Yeah. And I like that sort of element of surprise. And that's also how we kind of want to do it with the brands that we sell and stuff. We have a couple of brands that are a little bit more familiar, like Carhartt, Work in Progress, Nike, ACG. Para, of course, is a little bit more known, but also we would like people that come to the store to discover new things. We sometimes describe it as like crate digging. You're looking for one record, but you find another record.
One. Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the concept we want to go for.
That's what happened to me. I told you before, like going into your store, checking out all these kind of different brands, then finding these Eyes Look Left varsity jacket in burgundy. Yeah. I guess people who are looking at this kind of videos or following me on Instagram have seen this jacket a lot. Shout out to Jay. He did a really, really great job with that. I even wear it on my wedding day.
Yeah.
And this is something I found in your store and I haven't looked before,
Yeah.
So why do you think is it important for the people to really understand the story behind the brands, and what's your idea of helping the people with it?
I think, well, first of all, the way you dress is kind of is a way of expressing yourself, right? So I think if you want to express yourself by wearing a brand, you should at least kind of identify with that brand. I don't think I've never liked wearing a logo of something just because your friend is also wearing a logo of something, and you see that a little bit more in like high school times and stuff, like he has that logo t-shirt. It becomes a status thing. As soon as it becomes a status thing, it kind of loses its magic a little bit. And I think if you wear, even though it's a simple graphic like this, it's kind of, if you see someone wearing it, it's kind of a wink of nod and recognition of like,
if you know, you know.
If you know, you know. There's a lot of cool things, a lot of creative things that are going on, and I think having that recognition of people that you can connect with, I think happens in that creative space, and I think clothing is a part of that. I think a lot of people don't like to talk it in that way, but if you literally break it down, that's really what it is, of course.
How would you describe the culture around clothing, sneakers, skateboarding, and everything else? Like, let's call it a lifestyle.
Yeah.
How would you describe it, or what's the status quo here in Amsterdam and maybe in the Netherlands right now, in your perspective?
Well, I think it's what I've always liked about Amsterdam a lot is that styles mix. So it's not like there you have places in the world, and I think Germany can sometimes be a good example of that. We've thrown parties in Berlin, for instance, where we did like a room with punk bands and then a room with like electronic music, and those things didn't mix at all. And I think that's I think it's changed a little bit now, and it's also a sign of time that things are mixing a little bit more. The internet is very accessible, so people are also taking away, and I think young people don't like these. I think when we were young, there were all these like strict rules, like this is what you listen to,
true.
And this is not cool, and this is cool. But I think the internet blew that right open, and I think what you see is that the mixing of the styles has always really happened in Amsterdam. It's like I went to hip hop shows, but I also went to like punk parties, and then like all of that combined, and electronic music, and music wise, and skateboarding. It's the same as like Benji and Pata, skateboarding and sneakers. back then when they opened necessarily wasn't two worlds that were really colliding, but it was cool that it could happen here, you know, and still good friends, and I really like, that's what I like a lot about Amsterdam, is like bringing different like cultures and different things together and really mixing it and blending it and turning it into something original. Very special. Something very special.
It's very special. You're not only the co-founder of Very Special, you're doing a lot of other different kind of things. Maybe you would like to talk about that after I ask my question, because my question would be, what's the most favorite part in your job, and what makes you standing up every morning with a smile on your face and saying, let's get to work, get shit done?
Yeah, I'm also brand director for Obey Europe, which is also a really cool job, and it's a different job, and I really enjoy that. But there, I'm of course part of a way bigger team, and things, and it's completely different responsibilities and stuff than here. I really like it, but it's also, working for a bigger company can be a slow moving machine, and there's a lot of people that you make decisions together and you have to think about a lot of things. And what I like about Very Special, even though I'm partners in it with Benny and Romeo, who's in LA, also running our second store over there, is that it's just the three of us and we can make decisions, and it's just like, we can do something that's funny and not necessarily the most commercial decision, but we do it because we think it's cool or something, and it's easier, and we can just like, hey, should we work with this guy or this guy, and it just makes it this, because it's small, it can be creative and easy and fun. Not that I don't like working for Obey a lot as well, but it's two different things,
and it's good in the mix.
It's a good mix, because I think I have less frustration than when I was just working at Obey, because I now have the two outlets for different creative ideas and stuff.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
And one of the idea was to paint the whole store in this mint green. You already told me before that the first one changed it into another color, and then you thought about maybe changing the color every 6 months, which is a very, very sportive way to think of changing a store. But what could be the next color? Or is it something you maybe ask the community about and then they decide?
Yeah, that could be funny. I think it's also dangerous, because
definitely.
I think last time we did purple, which I thought was gonna be funny, or it was gonna be cool, and it was cool. But after 2 weeks myself, I was just like, it's pretty intense. But like people really liked it, and it's something else. But the concept at first was to change the store color every 6 months, which was very ambitious. So now we're doing it every year, so we're now in our third color, and we always try to, the colors we always try to bring that back. In our own Very Special clothing collection, we try to bring those accent colors back into that stuff, and I think that's a nice little element.
Sebas, thanks for taking the time. I really appreciate it. Love your store.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, and love your podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Das war unser Besuch bei Very Special, aus meiner Sicht einer der besten Stores in Amsterdam, zumal man eigentlich auch 3 Stores in einem hat, ne? Mit Pipara oben und Benji da noch unten. Aber schreibt mir mal gerne in die Kommentare, welche Stores zu euren Fave in Amsterdam gehören. Und abseits davon, ihr wisst natürlich, abonniert den Kanal, liked das Video und wie gesagt, ein kleiner Kommentar, und ich bin sehr gespannt, was eure Picks sein werden. Das können wir übrigens auch beim Food-Thema machen, denn jetzt bewegen wir uns zu LOMBARDO'S, einem ausgesprochenen Gourmet-Burger, und ich finde, das entspricht auf jeden Fall der Wahrheit. Martijn hat uns eingeladen und gibt uns gleich auch noch einen kurzen Einblick in die Welt des Burgermachens. Er wird sicherlich ziemlich busy sein heute, weil es ist Freitag und der Laden ist auch immer extrem voll, zumal er auch recht klein ist. Er ist in der Nähe von Ollery. Das Ollery-Interview, das könnt ihr hier unten sehen oder da oben, je nachdem, wo Marie das einbaut. Marie, wo baust du das ein?
irgendwo.
Okay, irgendwo könnt ihr das auf jeden Fall auch noch auschecken und genau dort befindet sich Lombardo's, da gehen wir hin. Und ich freue mich sehr, wenn ich das Martijn, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Amadeus.
Thanks for taking your time.
No problem.
And tell me a little bit about your wonderful burger location. You started in 2010, right?
2010 we started. We've been doing it now for the last 14 years. The idea is just to do one thing and to do that very well.
And you do it very well.
Thank you. Thank you.
The first time I've been to Lombardo's is a couple of years ago, and I already told the audience that whenever we're gonna visit Amsterdam,
Yeah.
I'm always gonna go to Lombardo's to get a burger. Why do you focus on doing the gourmet burger, like the big one with good ingredients and stuff like that?
I've been doing that for a long time. I'm not a fan of smash burgers because I like the burgers to be rare, medium rare. I like them to feel the juice coming out of it. I don't believe pushing all the juice out of it makes an extra nice burger.
Okay.
And yeah, it's a balance, you know. I think it's our size burger is just enough to make you full without having to eat a lot of fries with it, and yeah, it just works right. It just works right.
Besides the burger, there
Yeah.
are some other things on the menu as well. Tell me a
Yes.
little bit about that.
Well, popular is the Silly cheesesteak,
Yeah.
Dutch cheesesteak. We also do some potatoes from the side, just because I wanted to do something a little bit different instead of fries that everyone does.
Yeah.
And also a chicken sandwich is really popular.
Cool.
Yeah.
Ollery is across the street.
Yep.
And I do remember that you guys celebrated together for a few times now.
Yes, yes.
What especially where do the connection come from between you guys and Ollery?
Well, since they've opened, we've just been good friends.
So it's a neighborhood kind
It's
of
a
thing.
neighborhood kind of thing,
Okay.
yeah. And they're nice guys. Not all of them, mind you.
Shots fired at that point.
Shots fired, boom.
But I know that there's a lot going on in the location, in the restaurant right now,
Yeah.
because it's Friday.
Yeah.
And we're hungry as well. So thanks for taking the time. Appreciate.
Lovely.
And happy
Thanks a
to
lot.
get some food now.
I'll feed you.
Eine Abmoderation von mir, nur echt mit einer Cola-Dose in der Hand. Wir waren heute bei Very Special, wir waren bei Lombardo's und ich hoffe, ihr hattet ganz viel Spaß mit diesem Video. Wenn dem so war, lasst es uns wissen und ich hoffe, ihr freut euch schon so sehr wie wir auf das nächste Video, denn unsere Benelux-Tour hat ja gerade erst begonnen. Das ist Video 1 von 3 und abseits davon habt ihr schon so den einen oder anderen Vlog gesehen oder auch den einen oder anderen Content. Vielleicht ist auch schon an dieser Stelle unser Podcast von der Sneakerness online. Den könnt ihr auf jeden Fall auch auschecken. Ich glaube, ganz viel Content aus ganz vielen Ecken mit ganz vielen wunderbaren Dingen, so wie wir das mögen. In dieser Stelle, ich laufe jetzt das ab, was ich gerade gegessen habe. Das bedeutet, da werden noch ein paar tausend Schritte folgen müssen. Und wir sehen uns wieder im nächsten Video. Bis dahin, passt auf euch auf.